Good morning and welcome to the VSA Capital 5 Minute Morning Miner. And it's Thursday, the 24th of March. And morning, Ollie, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I will record this and then I'm heading out to Heathrow to fly to the US to try and close a nice deal. But that's all I can say at the moment. Anyway, let's crack on to today. And any news? Not sure what you'd like to start with. I did see Jubilee Metals had interims. Should we start with that one?
Yeah, we can do. I think it's a pretty good example of how to set up news flow and flag to the market some big changes, because this is a serious period of transition with intensive capital spending and knock-on production impacts. So the market's only off. Well, the stock's only off slightly this morning, despite a big reduction in margins. They had announced revenue and what they call attributable earnings in February with their operations update, but the EBITDA margin is significantly down on previous periods. But I think that's all been communicated to the market, so that's why you're not seeing much of a reaction despite a very significant drop off in earnings. And then you should start to see, now that this commissioning is completed, you should start to see a recovery in earnings going forward.
Look, it is a good company, and Leon Kurtz is a really good operator. It's grown really well. I mean, I take your point. It hasn't moved much today, so clearly this is flagged up to the market. But actually, if you wind the clock back 12 months, Ollie, the stock was trading at 22p. Here we are at 14p, and yet most, that's quite a big fall. Most mining equities actually are significantly up. So in that respect, it seems to still, but it is a good company. Leon is a good manager. It's quite difficult to get hold of, isn't he?
Although I think they did do. I think they were in London recently. Missed them.
Didn't pop by us, but anyway, there you go. Maybe when we're in South Africa, he'll see us. But look, it's a good company. The numbers are quite complicated, as you say, because there's a lot going on here. It needs quite a lot of analysis. But probably down at the 14p level, bearing in mind it's been as high as 22p a year ago. It's probably worth buying at the moment, I'd have thought.
Yeah, and you have also got the PGM exposure, which is obviously with Russia, those supplies are potentially at risk. So although PGM prices have eased off a bit over the last few months, so that partly explains that pullback in price, not all of it. It is quite an interesting ex-Russia play from that perspective.
Yeah, no, I think it looks really interesting. Anyway, there we go. What else you got today?
Well, there's one other earnings announcement which is interesting, and then we'll move on to the lithium stuff. But Atalaya Mining, Spanish copper producer, very strong earnings results today. $400 million in revenue, up 60% year on year, and EBITDA more or less 200 million, up 195%. Dividend of 40 cents per share. They haven't done that before, and they're also announcing an inaugural policy, 30 to 50% of free cash flow, which actually matches Camel's policy. They're higher cost than Camel and more operationally leveraged as a result, so they have outperformed. But looking to costs next year, you're seeing quite a significant increase, and also a bit of uncertainty as a result of power costs, which they say at the moment account for about 10%. So they're rising from 2.2 per pound to 2.25 to 2.8, which is a pretty big range. And then AISC, similar sort of range, with the top end of that at 3.05. The positive thing on the power, though, is that they have got a 50 megawatt solar plant to be constructed, which should be online in H1 2023, which will reduce their exposure to the volatile European power price at the moment. They say that's transitory. But I think next winter we will probably see high power costs again.
All right, interesting. You want to talk about lithium? Let's.
Well, there's two announcements, both Shanghai Mining Club members, Atlantic Lithium and Galane Lithium. So Atlantic Lithium, a 42% increase in the resource to 30 million tons. Marginal drop in the grade from 1.31% to 1.26% Li2O. So that takes us from the 21 million tons, which was 11 years on that scoping study, up to 30 million tons. And importantly, a big increase in confidence, trebling the tons in indicated resources. I think what's interesting is if you look at the actual images of where the resource is delineated, you can see they have extended it along strike, but they're also including satellite deposits in this resource now. So what you want to look for in the next set of drilling, which has started, when those results come through, is continuity between those pits. So what you get when you do the next study is lower strip ratios and minimizing the number of pits, because you're demonstrating there are actually one or fewer separate bodies of mineralization that can all be mined in one go, and that will really improve the economics.
I mean, the thing about Atlantic Lithium, it just seems to keep growing and growing and growing, doesn't it? It's going to be an amazing lithium resource. I guess the one question you have to ask at the moment is, what is the right valuation for it?
Yeah, and I think people who followed this for a long time know that there's a lot of growth to come, and that's always been part of the story. So how much of that is priced in already? But also, I mean, people are starting to ask what the right long-term spodumene price is, and pick a number. But if you pick a high number, you've probably got to start inflating your cost base as well. To account for the higher prices.
I mean, it's we haven't actually done the actual work ourselves to create our own valuation, but it's obviously been a fantastic performer, and I think that is the question. Anyway, it's all good on, and we're still in shock, obviously, about Vincent. Gallon.
Well, probably brief announcement on one of their secondary projects in Australia. Obviously, their focus is the brine projects in Argentina, but some anomalous soil samples with high lithium concentrations at their Greenbushes project. So developing the exploration pipeline and project pipeline, depending on gives them optionality depending on whether they sell the main project or develop it themselves. They want some growth optionality beyond that, but so all good stuff there. But I think what's interesting at the moment in the lithium space is a couple of stocks like LAC and the sort of market leaders are starting to move up a bit, and there's been about 6 months or so where lithium equities have been a bit sluggish, and obviously not really moving in line with that spot lithium price. So perhaps this could be the start of a catch up with some of these others like Atlantic, Galane moving as secondary movers now that the bigger players have started to move already.
And of course, we're keeping a very close eye on all the lithium down in Cornwall.
Exactly.
Just thought I'd finish on that note. There you go. Thanks, Ollie. Look, Ollie, I think you'll be doing this, or you and Paul and some of the other rest of the team, whilst I'm in the States for next week. So I'll be back in April.
Yeah. Well, have a good trip.
Thanks.